One
It's
element
hilarious.
is not going to kill a movie. Like, just
No,
because they
but
have
I'm
a
saying
stupid-ass pigeon
the
do this
film overall,
doesn't
I think
ruin
all the
the
elements
movie.
in Live and Let Die really work together very well, where I think all the elements in this movie don't fit very well together. I mean, we even point out they have a really good scene in this movie that is shot really well, and I question if Lewis Gilbert even filmed that scene. And then you see the rest of the movie and you're like, we have the really cheap, pigeon thing. We have an obnoxious, Q vehicle in the film that's like, last film we had this really cool underwater car. This film we have a gondola that goes on to land because it's just so Bond can escape, even though it's already a boat.
Everything you say about the car plane, like it's just a sight gag, that's where everything you've said about that's where I go, this is just a sight gag. Like, just purely.
It is. No, it definitely is. But that's something that, and actually it's funny you say that, because like even when they were making the movie, apparently they didn't even tell people they were doing this. And so Roger Moore is literally just driving this vehicle through Vienna, and people are looking at him like, what the is going on?
Yeah.
And that was actually legitimate people's reactions. Is like, what is he doing? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like that. But that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's a comedic thing.
Legitimate.
They didn't tell
at
that
least
pigeon.
like the comedy, I don't know. Again, like I just think the comedy in Live and Let Die all fits, and it's also kind of like there's a little bit more dread, there's a little bit more darkness in Live and Let Die that I kind of can get behind. This movie doesn't kind of has that, has in that one fucking scene that we're all agreeing it's like it's the best scene in this movie by far.
We also agreed at the time that Live and Let Die, the best assassin group was the funeral marching group since the Three Blind Mice.
Yes.
We said they were the best assassins to that point.
Oh, they still are.
And I still think they are.
They still are.
I want to bring up to that point though that I love the coffin knife thrower guy.
Yeah. Why?
He's like he has all these great knives. He almost throws it and he misses, and then he dies.
Why did he throw
and
it at the gondola guy
oh.
first?
Yeah, that just brings up the whole like, what is Drax trying to do with Bond? Kill him or not? Because just give that guy a gun.
And they had a guy with a gun, and instead they used, and that's the thing. This is where it's, we've been in this world for a little bit where you have all these zany assassins, right? Who, it kind of all started with Poison String Assassin guy, who is the shit, but he kind of fit within Japanese culture.
Yeah.
With this now, it's like, what crazy stuff can we come up with? And honestly, like, let's go through the assassination scenes.
Centrifuge.
Guy in the tree, and and that's kind of a cool scene for Bond. Knife throwing guy,
coffin knife
/ gondola thing.
Yeah.
Wannabe Oddjob again,
Yeah.
who comes at him with a
factory.
A bamboo stick. He's in a full
like
kendo outfit, which is just used for practicing. So
that whole thing is just lame, and I get that it's for the comedy of breaking the glass, but just shoot him in the fucking face. But anyway, so and that's what I mean. Everything I said about Live and Let Die also applies to this, where it's like, if you want Bond dead, and because you don't have a reason to keep him alive, even though they have a clear reason to keep Bond alive, to just like pretend like everything's normal and Bond will eventually off. But instead, they keep trying to kill him, and Drax even says,
"You defy all my attempts to plan an amusing death for you."
But at a certain point, just shoot him in the face, and then by the time you're put on murder charges, you'll have gassed the entire fucking planet, and everybody investigating you will be dead anyway. And for the millionth time, I'm not trying to be Scott Evil, just saying, shoot him in the face so that we can roll credits. Again, what I'm saying is it makes Drax look stupid because he's completely incapable of handling this very simple task, as opposed to the writers coming up with a clever reason for Drax keeping Bond alive until he has to kill him. Again, go back through our history of bad guys, and the best bad guys have a valid reason to keep Bond alive until they try to kill him at the end. And it makes them look intelligent, and here, Drax, the super genius, just looks like an idiot. Just shoot Bond in the fucking face! So what does he do when they lose Wannabe Oddjob? Everybody moves off to Rio, and they hire Jaws. Okay, cool, we have Jaws back. Maybe there'll be some cool, horrific stuff with Jaws. And then we get to the sequel to the Egypt scene from The Spy Who Loved Me, where it's the exact same scene. It's right in the middle of the movie, and it makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. So let's just run through it. Bond goes to an observatory so he can look at an airfield. Bond goes through a long gondola ride, not for tourism purposes, not to show off the location, but because he has to go all the way up there to have a vantage point to look at a fucking airfield. Like, he couldn't just go to the airfield and just see that there's Drax planes taking off. So Bond goes to the top of this mountain, and he just so happens to run into Goodhead. Then on the way down, Jaws shows up again. Just to show off Jaws, physically stops the gondola, even though he has a guy take over the controls. Then
I like that he keeps looking at the wheel like you're stopped.
Yeah. It's like a
you're not
funny
gonna go,
little
right?
thing, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then he bites that one cable, and you're like, oh, cool. He's going to bite the licorice cable, and the gondola is going to fall and crash, and like, how's Bond going to get out of this? But then him biting the cable does nothing. So then Jaws gets on the other gondola, and his operator guy is going to like stop them next to each other, and arbitrarily Bond's like, it's better to be outside of the gondola than inside of it, which doesn't make sense, just so they can have a fight. But then at that point, why does James Bond not have his fucking Walther? And he can just shoot Jaws in the face. Like, why?
Do we see Walther at all in this movie?
No, actually.
Like, I can't remember when he shoots a gun at all, except for the
wrist thing. The Spider-Man web shooter.
It's activated by nerve impulses from the wrist muscles.
Like this?
Walther pulled their ad money. Walther wasn't paying them advertisement money anymore, so they moved to psycho wrist.
I want to stop one
shooters.
quick second just to say that when they did that gondola scene, the guy who was James Bond in the scene for the stunt actually almost slipped and died. And they have the footage of it. You can find it online, but he slips and he almost falls. He catches himself, and then they had to call cut. That same guy, if you remember in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, was the same guy who was also doing the hook thing as Bond is trying to escape down the cable cars.
Oh, wow.
So I just thought that was crazy that it's like the same dude who did the cable car stunt
thing.
almost
Get the
died
cable
doing
car
another
guy.
cable guy. Yeah,
He's really good with cables.